We now turn to our 16th Investiture Ceremony, during which we will present some of our most accomplished faculty endowed chairs and recognize the visionary support of our donors who make these invaluable endowments possible. As we begin our ceremony, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Trustee Norman Peters, representing our university's Board of Trustees. Norm, thanks for all that you do in furtherance of our university and this medical school. I would also like to recognize Dr. Eric Dixon, President and CEO of UMass Memorial Healthcare, and Patrick Muldoon, President of UMass Memorial Medical Center. We so highly value your partnership. Every year since I have been Dean and Provost, it has seemed as though this ceremony in particular has taken on greater relevance and meaning. Today's ceremony takes place against a backdrop of increasingly intense competition among medical schools to attract and retain the best and brightest academic talent. Our most promising junior faculty and most preeminent senior faculty are regularly targeted by institutions across the nation and, in fact, around the world. The situation is a race for talent, and every tool and resource our institution has at its disposal is deployed to sustain and grow the world-class research environment that has taken root on this campus. Perhaps the most effective and coveted resource we can direct to our top talent is an endowed chair. In order to establish an endowed chair, a benefactor makes a strategic and substantial gift that binds the donor and the institution together in perpetuity. As a donor's gift demonstrates confidence in and a commitment to UMass Medical School, so too does our medical school make a powerful statement of support to the faculty members selected for a particular endowed chair. The donor invests in our institution, which enables us in turn to invest in a stellar faculty member who may then use the annual unrestricted proceeds from the endowment to further their cutting-edge research. Our success, past, present, and future, has been and will continue to be predicated upon a collaborative, team-based approach. We know that our mission areas in education, research, patient care, and public service are all team efforts that depend on myriad contributions from all members of our academic community. When we celebrate the recipients of the endowed chairs, we are in fact celebrating the entire team's and in the entire faculty's accomplishments. And particularly this year, there's much to celebrate. By the end of the festivities today, we will have invested 9 new faculty members into endowed chairs, which I believe is more than twice the previous high watermark for a total number of chairs in 1 year. In total, the number of endowed chairs at UMass Medical School will increase to 48, a tremendous achievement when considering that more than 20 of those new endowed chairs have been established in this past decade alone under the leadership of Chancellor Collins. Since his tenure started 10 years ago, the Chancellor, in fact, has placed a strategic focus on securing as many new endowed chair commitments from our leading donors as possible. The pace at which we've been able to attract new philanthropic gifts and the size of this new cohort of endowed chairs serves as evidence of the highly competitive nature of our faculty and the sincere generosity of our donors. With 9 members of the faculty to be invested today, we've had to think creatively about how to best accommodate the process. Given the constraints of time for this ceremony, we will only be investing 5 of the 9 faculty members right now. The remaining 4 will be invested and appropriately honored at this evening's special investiture dinner. The entire investiture process, beginning at this ceremony and continuing through the dinner, will be filmed and available to the campus community for viewing online. To the 9 newest endowed chairs, please allow me to be the first to congratulate you on this wonderful professional achievement. To our group of 48 endowed chairs, many of whom join us, thank you for being the compelling ambassadors that you are for our state's world-renowned public medical school. And to the donors who are participating in today's events, please know Your tremendous generosity demonstrates in a public and powerful way your confidence in our faculty and your commitment to our most promising future. Thank you sincerely for being a part of our team. I now have the pleasure once again to invite Chancellor Collins back to the lectern to confer the first 5 endowments. Chancellor Collins.
We begin by investing Dr. Neil Aronin as the Higgins Family Professor in Neuroscience. Dr. Aronin and Mr. and Mrs. Higgins, would you please come forward? An internationally known and highly regarded leader in the field of neurotherapeutics, a model physician-scientist who has sustained a research lab and clinical practice for decades, and one of a small group of senior statesmen who have helped to nurture the one-of-a-kind research environment here at this institution. Dr. Neil Aronin, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, is privileged to recognize you today. A leading physician scientist at UMass Medical School for nearly 40 years, you have pursued relentlessly, with laser-like focus, research on a fatal genetic disease that strikes in the prime of one's life. It is said that patients suffering from Huntington's disease experience symptoms that would be similar to ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's all at once. Those afflicted with Huntington's disease suffer a loss of cognition, have uncontrollable movements and depression, lose their ability to walk or talk, and often are forced to live out their lives in nursing homes. With a disease that lends itself so easily to hopelessness, your work and the advances emanating therefrom has offered those confronted with this condition a most elusive gift: hope. Demonstrating tremendous perseverance, patience, problem solving, and above all, passion, you have built upon your previous research and utilized new tools and technologies to make steady progress towards fulfilling your life's work, finding a cure for Huntington's disease. Over the years, this journey has been aided by the truly world-class RNA community that is developed here at our medical school. Leveraging the power and promise of RNA interference, you have perfected an approach to silencing the mutant Huntington gene. Your translational research, with its revolutionary implications, is now approaching human clinical trials, representing a milestone achievement for you, and most importantly, a monumental development for the patients who find hope by following your progress. With enduring gratitude to the Higgins family for the understanding of the critical importance of investing in biomedical research, I'm pleased to ask Polly and Prentice Higgins to help me in investing Dr. Aronin. Dr. Neil Aronin, it is a tremendous privilege to invest you as the new recipient of the Higgins Family Professor in Neuroscience. Receive this medallion as a symbol of our respect and admiration for your tireless commitment to your patients and the hope that your pioneering research offers to them. Congratulations. Committed to a family legacy of philanthropy, to this great city of Worcester, and to pioneering biomedical research, Polly and Prentice Higgins, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, extends to you and the Higgins family our deepest appreciation for your support. Your family name harkens back to a golden age in Worcester's history, a time when this city was unquestionably one of the nation's leading centers of manufacturing. At the epicenter of Worcester's famed manufacturing past was a company that your family helped to found, Norton Company, which during your father's tenure as CEO was the largest manufacturer and supplier of abrasives in the world. Raised in this environment, you and your siblings learned that a business leader was indistinguishable from a civic leader, and that contributing to the cultural fabric of this great city was the responsibility that accompanied success in business. A common thread linking the philanthropy of each successive generation of the Higgins family is a deep and abiding commitment to supporting biomedical research. Your family's association with the Worcester Foundation for Biomedical Research is as special and historic as the affiliation with the Norton Company. Following the lofty example of your grandparents, both of whom supported the creation of the foundation, Prentice, you served as a dedicated and diligent trustee of the Worcester Foundation for Biomedical Research for almost 40 years. Yours was a tremendous record of service that was recognized in 2012 when you received this institution's Hudson Hoagland Award. Our medical school feels privileged to once again celebrate your unwavering support of biomedical research. On this day, we are able to present a most distinguished colleague, an endowed chair that bears your family name and represent the Higgins family's proud legacy of philanthropic support for research. Polly and Prentice, on behalf of a grateful institution, please accept our deepest appreciation for supporting at our medical school research that promises to elevate the human condition.
Chancellor Collins, Dean Flott, Prentice, and Polly, thank you so much for this honor. Colleagues and friends, and colleagues who are friends, and family. It's a special honor to receive this award. So, in the spirit of literature, thank you for starting that. In his poem, Intimations in Immortality, William Wordsworth considered a lifetime of experience as spots in time. We can zoom in on certain occurrences in life and with great clarity know what it is, what the experience is, what the perception was, what the emotions were at the time of the spot in time. So our lives are calculus of spots. And I'm going to talk about some of my spots. I was at LaGuardia Airport, and I dropped my scarf. And my wife, Marion, picked it up. Now, mind you, I'd been dropping that scarf all over Manhattan. Nothing happened. But there was a spark. And some of the science that emanates that I'm going to talk to you about is from that scarf. So I would like to first talk about my family. Marion DeFilia is a professor at Harvard in neuroscience. She's a better scientist than am I admit. When we decided what we were going to do with our lives, she encouraged me to pursue a career as a physician scientist rather than accept a partnership in a lucrative Park Avenue, Manhattan endocrine practice. Okay. I want to thank my daughters, Elizabeth, Leah, and Deborah, for showing up to contribute to life events, it turns out, all over the world. and with an emphasis on the well-being of others. Good work, Marion. And my favorite picture in my youth, because we often go back, is a picture that's inscribed by my parents, who said I could do anything I wanted. Dr. Aronin, age 2. Okay. So I've had a few pivotal points in my life. And one transformative was 10th grade biology, and I had a teacher, Robert Wistort, who was actually nominated for a presidential teaching award. And we had to do high school science fairs, and what did I know from science? So I said, I need some help. So he took me down to the library, and we read an article on algae, and he said, how do they know this sentence is true? And what's the question that should be asked to understand that question? And I said, this is interesting. He says, well, this is what science is about. It's not, memorizing. It's active. It's asking the right questions. So I asked the question, and he set me up with a professor at the University of Maryland in botany. I worked on algae. I actually had a laboratory starting my 10th grade at the university for 3 years. So I had my bench space. I could come and go as I wanted. I entered the high school science fair and won the science fair. And I asked, how did I win? And they said, you're the only one who asked the question. What was the question? What effect has urine on algae? Who would have known? Who would have known? And I won a NASA award because NASA was interested in that question for regenerating oxygen. And so then the last year I worked on a mutant algae, which is, it was a genetic problem, glucose bleaching effect. So apparently there was a mutation. So if you give, very much like the early work in genetics, Jacob and Monod, so that if you gave glucose, you shut off chlorophyll production, presumably because you didn't express the chlorophyll gene. So I applied for and got an NSF grant when I was a freshman in college. I thought, this is easy. So after finishing the summer experience, I went to my mentor and I said, well, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to sequence the chlorophyll gene and then open it up and then put in another part of it to correct the problem and maybe even eliminate the gene itself. And he said, that's a great idea. This is 1967. He said, you're going to have to win about 4 Nobel Prizes to be able to do that research. So I became a history major. So I have to say, I am surrounded by what I consider superb scientists and colleagues, and superb clinicians. Our colleagues are smart and they're giving people. This is personal. So my first grandson was born with a de novo point mutation in a gene called NACC1. It affects his life deeply. He was the first case to be recognized in a large program, and now there are more patients with this problem. So I mentioned the genetics to Melissa Moore, my next door neighbor colleague, who loved to just read genes. And within hours after talking to her, Phil Zamore came to my office and said, anything I can do, I will. And then minutes later, Anastasia Kvarova, my close colleague, came to my door and said, whatever I can do to help, I will. And then within minutes later, Guamping Gao, Miguel Estevez, and Chris Mueller in gene therapy came by and said the same. Whatever I can do, don't worry about the money. And Mike Brodsky, whom I work with closely, made a mouse with this defect, and we're studying it now in the hope that my work on Huntington's disease might be applied to my grandson. So the support is going to come from the Higgins Family Professorship. So I want you to know that. It's not going to be used for salary. And that was something that Chancellor Collins mentioned to me first thing. He said, use this money well. So for many decades, I worked on pituitary and the brain. I'm a neuroendocrinologist. And I started my experiments with HD in another spot of time when Joseph Martin, who was my mentor and chair at Mass General, came to me and said, I'm working on putting together a center grant on Huntington's disease. Would you help? I mean, what was I to say? So, of course, I said I would. And I started working on Huntington's disease. And then in 1990 at UMass, I gave a talk on Huntington's disease and what we knew and some of the pathology. And one of the distinguished professors came to me and said, why are you working on this disease? It's a genetic disease. We don't know the gene. This is a long-term disease. And even if we knew the gene, there's no hope of therapy. He said, you should work on something more tractable, like diabetes. Okay. So I told him he worries too much. Yeah. You know, it's like in the movie, you know, it's a mystery, you know. So it's a CAG repeat disease. We immediately started, the next day, started making antibodies once we knew a protein sequence. Ed Bresnik gave me some money. I don't know where he got it from, but I didn't ask, to fund the research. We were the first, Marion and I were the first to make antibodies. Kathy Chase, who's been with me for 35 or more years, held the animal, and I injected the animal. I had worked with Rosalind Yallow, who won a Nobel for rate immunoassay, and I knew how to make antibodies. And then we were the first to show in the human aggregates. Marion discovered them, and we showed the cleavage products. And then came Craig. And so I called Craig up, and I said, that's Craig Mello, by the way. I said, Craig, do you think RNAi would work in Huntington's disease? He said, maybe, could happen. I said, do you want to work on it with me? He said, no. He said, but maybe Phil Zamore would be willing to do it. So I didn't know Phil, so I went up to Phil, and we talked, and we outlined 10 years of work, and I made some phone calls to some foundations, and one of them the next day flew in. The next day, I told them what we wanted to do, and they said, how much do you need? I gave them a number, and they said, you'll have it tomorrow. So we were able to start work on that. And then it snowballed. So we've been very fortunate. We've had a number of donors who give us money. We have NIH, and then from the CHDI Foundation, we have ample support, although we always would like more, to carry out our investigations. So at this point, we use 3 different approaches. We use the RNAi using siRNA, and Anastasia, who's a jewel, has been able to make siRNAs that go from, you know, lifetime of a few minutes to now 6 months. Really amazing. And then with the gene therapy faculty, we have AAV9, and we finished studies in large animals, transgenic sheep in Australia, and we're now in monkeys to show safety, and we get good knockdown of the mutant gene, and this is a real step forward. And then with Mike Brodsky, we're working on gene editing. It's a little further away, but we're getting close, and we can actually contract the CAG repeat that's expanded. So the advances are being negotiated with several different companies. So we're hopeful that it will get into the clinic soon, and the principles will apply to other diseases. I wonder if I had not dropped the scarf. It was a spot in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ronan. Next, I'm delighted to invest Dr. Fenbao Gao as the Governor Paul Cellucci Chair in Neuroscience Research. Dr. Gao and Mrs. Jan Cellucci, would you please come forward? Purposeful in your work, prolific in your scholarship, principled in your leadership, and preeminent in the field of neuroscience research. Dr. Fenbao Gao, it's a privilege for the University of Massachusetts Medical School to recognize you today. Your early career focused on the molecular pathobiology of frontotemporal dementia. At some of the world's most respected institutions in Beijing, London, San Francisco, and North Carolina's Research Triangle, your scholarship has served to deepen our collective knowledge of the molecular mechanisms that lead to neuronal degeneration. Since joining our renowned academic community, you have earned the respect and admiration of colleagues near and far. Your lab has identified numerous therapeutic targets for dementia and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. By leveraging knowledge from a combination of model organisms, such as the fruit fly and mouse, with that of human stem cell models, you and your team elucidated a single gene that is directly linked to both conditions. In so doing, your research proffers hope to all who look beyond the immediacy of now to a brighter day when breakthrough discoveries will lead to better prognoses and the best treatments. Through the generosity of so many individuals who have contributed to the UMass ALS Cellucci Fund, UMass Medical School now has the opportunity to invest in you, similar to the NIH and other prominent funding sources that have helped to propel you to the forefront of neurological research. With a profound sense of gratitude to our beloved native son, the late Governor Paul Cellucci, I would ask that his cherished wife, Jan, join me now with an investiture of Dr. Fenbao Gao. Dr. Fenbao Gao, it's a wonderful privilege to invest you as the inaugural holder of the Governor Paul Cellucci Chair in Neuroscience Research. Receive this medallion as a symbol reflecting Governor Cellucci's confidence in the promise of UMass Medical School faculty members like you to unlock the mysteries of such challenging neurological conditions. Congratulations. Throughout an extraordinary career marked by his rise from state legislator to lieutenant governor to governor and finally to U.S. ambassador to Canada, Paul Cellucci, through his words, his deeds, and his example, exemplified the very highest ideals of a public servant. Indeed, when faced with the greatest personal test of his life, a diagnosis of ALS, Governor Cellucci poignantly demonstrated for all to see what a genuine commitment to service embodies. The governor's final campaign, pursued as passionately as any other, was focused on raising awareness about and funds for ALS research here at UMass Medical School. Ours was an institution near and dear to him. Years earlier, with one stroke of his legislative pen, Governor Cellucci signed a bill that altered the course and trajectory of this institution's world-renowned research enterprise. With the passing of time, the governor would remark that this medical school was, and I quote, one of the greatest things state government ever did, end quote. His was a selfless call to service. The governor initiated his commitment to hope, the most precious gift a patient confronted with a serious illness can receive. Bolstered by the unique bond and special love he shared with you, Jan, the governor's resolve to use his illness to help had others grow stronger. Invested in one another and in this institution, you established the UMass ALS Salucci Fund and watched as hundreds of donations flowed in from across the nation and beyond. Together with the governor, you introduced countless individuals to this institution so that they could learn what you both already knew, that our medical school is a special place, and our faculty, the people, our research programs, the pathway, that ultimately will contribute to a cure for ALS. Ours is an institution poised to change the course of history of ALS, and we believe that each day could be the day when a campaign for hope develops into a campaign for healing. Through the UMass ALS Salucci Fund and the Governor Paul Salucci Chair in Neuroscience Research, we are proud to forge an enduring partnership with your family, and we're humbled to be entrusted with helping to finish the mission to find a cure started by Governor Salucci. As we push towards a successful conclusion, faithfully, we shall honor and celebrate the governor's legacy of selfless service. Jan, on behalf of the UMass ALS Salucci Fund, please accept this medallion as a symbol of our institution's sincerest gratitude for the support, confidence, and commitment you and your husband placed in our university, the University of Massachusetts Medical School. Thank you.
Chancellor Collins, Dean Flood, Mrs. Salucci, friends and colleagues. I have 4 minutes to talk. So first, I'd like to thank Mrs. Salucci for the tremendous honor to associate myself and my family with you and your remarkable family. Secondly, I also like to express my tremendous gratitude to Chancellor Collins, Dean Flood, Dr. Bob Brown, and the Salucci family for setting up the UMass ALS Salucci Fund, which made the generous endowment possible. Thank you all very much. Neurodegenerative disease such as ALS and dementia pose one of the greatest global health and scientific challenges that requires collaborative efforts from many basic, translational, and clinical scientists. Trained as a developmental neurobiologist, studying basic molecular mechanisms of neuronal morphogenesis at UCSF, I stumbled into the disease field by following the lead of the gene in fruit fly that we identified and named as shrub. Over the years, my team has continued to use tiny flies as well as patient-derived stem cells as our primary experimental systems. After my lab moved from San Francisco to UMass in 2010, our research on several genes whose mutations cause both ALS and frontotemporal dementia, including recently identified C9orf72, has flourished, which to a large extent is because UMass offers such a collaborative and collegial environment. We are very fortunate to have collaborated with and interacted with many brilliant scientists at UMass and other top institutions. During this journey, I have also met with many ALS and FTD patients, as well as their families and friends, including Mrs. Salucci. They give me a purpose. They are my inspirations. My team will continue to work as hard as possible to help find the cure as soon as possible. Although I'm the lucky ones to stand up here today, in reality, it is my former and current trainees in the lab who are the real engine of the research program. Some of them are sitting here. So I thank them very much. Finally, once again, I'd like to thank my family, my wife Kim, and the 3 wonderful boys, as well as the chancellor, the dean, my chair, all my collaborators and colleagues, as well as the Salucci family for your great support. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gao. Thank you. It's with great pleasure now that we invest Mark D. Johnson as the Maroon Chair in Neurosurgery. Dr. Johnson and Noor Saman, would you please join me at the podium? A passionate physician investigator dedicated to patients, dedicated to colleagues, trainees, and your profession. Dr. Mark Johnson, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, is privileged to recognize you today. From the moment you entered the field of neurological surgery, you have dedicated yourself wholly to a career in academic medicine. Such a commitment has required you to balance the constant and often competing demands of your roles as practicing clinician, an engaged educator, and a respected physician scientist. Your patients, your trainees, your collaborators, and your colleagues all would attest to your ability to expertly and exquisitely meet many expectations that have been placed upon you and that you have willingly accepted. Your focus on adult hydrocephalus, especially the phenomenon of normal pressure hydrocephalus, a disorder that is one of the most commonly misdiagnosed brain conditions in people over 60, brings new understanding and, importantly, new hope to those facing debilitating neurological symptoms. Your commitment to understanding the genetic basis for glioblastoma and your research into potentially novel pathway for treatment is deeply significant and represents scholarship that is at the forefront of the field. When you joined the faculty at UMass Medical School as professor and chair of the Department of Neurosurgery in 2016, you brought to our institution new expertise, new perspectives, and new enthusiasm for the growing neuroscience environment of our university. Your collaborations are already leading you in pioneering and promising directions, which may one day result in seminal advances in neuroscience research and neurosurgical treatments. As a leader in your field, you have embraced the multifaceted responsibilities that are attendant to your myriad roles in academic medicine. With this newly endowed chair, our institution now embraces you and looks to you with heightened anticipation for the contributions of your scholarship in the years to come. With a deep sense of gratitude to the Maroon Saman Foundation for establishing this new chair, I would now ask Noor Saman, the daughter of Maroon Saman, to help me in investing Dr. Johnson. Dr. Mark Johnson, it's a tremendous privilege to invest you as the inaugural recipient of the Maroon Saman Chair in Neurosurgery. Receive this medallion as a symbol of the confidence and admiration of our academic community has for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chancellor, Dean Flott, Dr. Dixon, students, and colleagues. First of all, let me just express my gratitude to all of you for welcoming me into this wonderful community and university. It's really the honor of my life. When I was a child, my family was very poor. We had very little in terms of material things. And thus, out of necessity, my life was a life of the mind, a life of imagination, of books, of big dreams. Like the superheroes in the comic books that I like to read, I dreamed of improving people's lives by solving big problems, difficult problems that most others could not solve. Given my circumstances, it was unclear how that would ever become a reality. Nevertheless, when I was still a child, I set out to find a path to do exactly that, pursuing the only avenue available to me at the time, which was education. That path took me from the segregated public schools of Memphis to the classrooms of Harvard Medical School, to the operating rooms of a neurosurgery residency at the University of Washington, back to Harvard faculty, and ultimately here to the University of Massachusetts Medical School, which is a place that is specifically focused on turning advances in science into solutions for life's biggest problems. That path led me to become a neurosurgeon scientist focused on understanding the problems of the most complex and most consequential organ, the human brain. I've devoted my life to addressing some of the biggest problems of the brain, including brain tumors, hydrocephalus, brain injury, and brain degeneration. In the case of tumors, we want to know, why are the cells born? Why do they die? How do they crawl? Why do they cause brain dysfunction? And we've applied all of the techniques available to us to try to understand that. Shortly after I arrived at UMass, someone else came along who shared the vision of transforming lives by solving big problems. Actually, there's a whole room filled with such people here today. One of those people was Maroon Saman. His path also involved education. By way of the American University of Beirut, he studied mechanical engineering and ultimately grew to head a large oil company called Petrofac. His path led him to become a successful businessman, a philanthropist, and a champion of those in need. The big problems that he addressed were in the areas of education, economic opportunity, and medical care for those in the Middle East. And eventually, he too grappled with the problem of a brain tumor. So today, his path and my path cross. Through the generosity of this endowed professorship, the Saman family and I will now work together to tackle the problem of brain tumors and other big problems of the brain. Using state-of-the-art techniques in brain surgery, we will work together to heal hundreds of patients, one by one, in the operating room. And in the research laboratory, along with others who are working with me and who are here today, we will apply the most advanced scientific methods to develop more effective treatments for malignant brain tumors and other big problems of the brain with a goal of helping millions. I'm humbled and deeply honored to have the names Saman and Johnson mentioned together in this effort. This endowment is, after all, a tool for solving big problems. I thank the Saman family for the opportunity to work with you to realize our shared vision of solving big problems for the benefit of humanity. Thank you.
Dr. Johnson, thank you very much. Next, I'm delighted to invest Dr. Marianne Walhoot as the Maroon Samaan Chair in Biomedical Research. I would ask that Dr. Walhoot and join me now with Noor Samaan at the podium. An internationally renowned leader in an emerging field of biomedical research, an intrepid investigator striving to unravel the complex interconnectedness of fundamental biological processes, and an influential campus leader helping to direct this institution's strategic direction. Dr. Marianne Walhoot, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, is privileged to recognize you today. The field of systems biology research is novel and poised to lay the foundation for the next generation of scientific discovery. You have positioned UMass Medical School at the forefront of the dynamic field of systems biology, an interdisciplinary approach to research that capitalizes on technological advances in the areas of genomics and high-throughput instrumentation. Systems biology seeks to elucidate the myriad relationships between biomolecules. Rather than investigating individual genes or proteins in isolation, your work elucidates the complex interaction between diet, gene expression, physiological response, and human disease. As a clinical scientist would look at the entire spectrum of issues facing a patient rather than one marker or symptom, you are pioneering a new holistic approach aimed at understanding how complex biological networks adapt to various conditions. Your research, using large-scale data sets and computational modeling to unravel regulatory networks involved in metabolic and genetic development, has advanced our understanding of these systems and offers new and innovative pathways to treat human disease. Progress depends on a strong collaborative environment. As a mentor and scientific leader, you have forged highly diverse and effective teams crossing traditional research disciplines that move science forward, farther and faster than otherwise possible. With a profound sense of gratitude to the Maroon Samaan Foundation for making the establishment of this chair possible, I'll now ask Noor Samaan to assist me in investing Dr. Walhoot. Dr. Marianne Walhoot, it is a distinct privilege to invest you as the inaugural recipient of the Maroon Samaan Chair in Biomedical Research. Receive this medallion as a symbol acknowledging your unyielding commitment to generate new scientific knowledge and your relentless quest to pursue innovations that impact human health. Congratulations. The University of Massachusetts Medical School is privileged to remember and recognize the late Maroon Samaan, a person of virtue and vision, a businessman of acumen and achievement, and a philanthropist of impact and influence. Representing the Samaan family and the Maroon Samaan Foundation is Maroon's daughter, Noor. Passionate, principled, purposeful, these attributes describe and define your father, Maroon Samaan. He was passionate about his family, his native region, and the transformative power of education. He was principled as a family man, a renowned entrepreneur, and a civic leader. And he was purposeful with his commitments, his investments, and his charitable endeavors. Lebanese by birth, Maroon nevertheless became a global citizen. While his heart remained in his home region, his head and hands extended outward. Maroon keenly appreciated that effectuating change in the Middle East required building meaningful connections to the world beyond. His global orientation was based on a core belief that the path toward progress would be paved when everyone, everywhere, could promote the shared values that unite us and not the differences that divide us. This belief explains how a trustee from the American University in Beirut, Lebanon, could come to place his trust in an American university in Massachusetts. It informs why his philanthropy includes strategic investments in a university and medical center in Beirut and at a medical school in Worcester. And it underscores why the Maroon Saman Foundation continues to be the spark that, as you so eloquently remarked, lights a candle in the darkness of the Middle East. As we celebrate the Maroon Saman Foundation's inspiring generosity, which has resulted in the establishment of 2 newly endowed chairs, we pledge now and always honor Maroon Saman's rich legacy and his foundation's compelling vision to serve humanity through purposeful philanthropy. Noor, on behalf of our Commonwealth's Public Medical School, please accept these medallions as symbols of the highest respect we have for Maroon's rich example and the deepest admiration we have for you as you pick up the torch and ensure your father's legacy lights the world. Congratulations.
First, I would like to thank the Saman family for their support. And I would like to say that I'm truly sad that I did not get to meet Mr. Maroon Saman. But I'm so pleased to have his daughter, Noor, here with us today. I'm also deeply honored to be co-sharing, in a way, this endowment with Dr. Johnson. I came to the United States 20 years ago this coming January. Never in my dreams could I have imagined receiving this honor here today. So why am I here? First, my ground state was instilled by my parents. I am the first, and so far the only one, in my entire family to go to college. And was raised with the motto, whatever you are, be a good one. Carpenter, janitor, scientist, it doesn't matter. This has proven to be a great foundation, and I'm deeply grateful to them. Then I was fortunate to benefit from the Dutch education system, where women were encouraged to become scientists, and when I moved to the United States, I had $0 in debt. Times have changed. Before doing so, however, I was taught by my graduate advisor, Mark Timmers, how to conduct a proper scientific experiment. Then, in Boston, my postdoctoral mentor and very close friend, Mark Vidal, who's here with us today, taught me how to be bold and creative, how to say yes where others say no. My great fortune henceforth was the recruitment to UMass Medical School by Michael Green, who continues to be one of my examples in science. So that brings me to another very important piece in the puzzle that led me to be here, the leadership at UMass Medical School. Both our dean and our chancellor have proven many times their vision and commitment, and in my mind, UMass Medical School really is the greatest place to do science because it actually is collaborative. Having said this, my biggest gratitude goes to my trainees, past and present. I'm deeply humbled to have their trust in my ability to train and support them. I'm proud of them and will continue to do my best to have them conquer our scientific world, provided you work hard. Finally, I would like to thank my close friends, some of who are here today, and last but not least, my darling husband, Job Dekker, who has never been afraid to let me fly. What a joy it is to be here with him and celebrate. Then I want to leave all students, postdocs, the new trainees, everybody here with a quote from Theodore Roosevelt that I have found to be inspiring over the years. far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in the great twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Walhood. It is with great pleasure now that we invest Job Decker as the Joseph J. Byrne Chair in Biomedical Research. I would ask that Dr. Decker and Sam and Joseph Byrne join me at the podium. A creative and collaborative thinker, an innovative and trailblazing scientist, and a prominent and preeminent leader in the field of systems biology. Dr. Job Decker, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, is privileged to recognize you today. A world-class scientist and exceptionally creative thinker, you have emerged as the pioneering mind behind the study of the three-dimensional structure of chromosomes. Your vision and willingness to take risks in the pursuit of expanding the boundaries of scientific knowledge was the catalyst of the chromosome capture conformation technology underlying your innovative approach to mapping the topography of the genome. DNA does not exist inside the cell nucleus in a simple, straightforward form. Instead, it folds and loops back on itself in a tightly controlled complex array that has a profound influence on our genes. Your journey to create new tools for seeing these structures in detail gave birth to a biochemical technique for determining how DNA segments interact and are linked to one another. The result, akin to a molecular microscope, is now used by researchers across the globe to map the shape and organization of chromosomes as they exist inside cells in real time. Your determined pursuit of knowledge has opened the three-dimensional world of the genome to a higher level of inquiry. Because of you, the world can see and think about the human genome in a whole new light, redefining our conception of how genes interact and fundamentally change our understanding of disease. With a profound sense of gratitude to Sam Byrne for his most generous donation leading to the creation of this newly endowed chair, I would now ask that Sam, together with his father, Dr. Joseph Byrne, join me in investing Dr. Job Decker. Dr. Job Decker, it is a distinct privilege to invest you as the inaugural recipient of the Joseph J. Byrne Chair in Biomedical Research. Receive this medallion as a symbol of this institution's appreciation for your leading-edge contributions to our understanding of the genome, human disease, and the field of systems biology. Congratulations. Prominent investor, principled philanthropist, and today a proud son. Samuel T. Byrne, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, extends to you and your father, Joseph J. Byrne, our sincerest gratitude for your selfless support in furtherance of this great institution. Sam, from the earliest of ages, you were raised in a household that exposed you to the value of seeking out education, obtaining knowledge, exploring different paths, and capitalizing on opportunities. Your parents taught you and your siblings that family and friends form the foundation of one's life, that the journey is as important as the destination. and that wisdom is gained over time and through a combination of hard-earned mistakes and hard-won experiences. These lessons are equally suited for someone embarking on a career in biomedical research. Given your father's career-long legacy of supporting biomedical research and its funding, it is most appropriate that you honor his legacy with the establishment of this endowed chair. That you do it here is most affirming. A strategic and savvy financial manager and entrepreneur, you apply the same rigorous scrutiny to your philanthropic investments as you do to your professional investments. Perhaps channeling your father, repeatedly, you have made philanthropic commitments based on the promise and potential of educational and healthcare institutions in Massachusetts. With this most recent gift, made in honor of your father, we believe you have invested in an institution and a faculty member with unlimited promise and potential. Please know that the University of Massachusetts Medical School will honor your generosity and the Byrne family name by generating new knowledge and driving novel discoveries that will advance the health and well-being of people everywhere. On behalf of a most grateful institution, thank you for believing in us.
I would like to thank the Byrne family, Sam and Joseph, for their incredible generous support. I had a great pleasure to meet both of you a few weeks ago when the Chancellor arranged a lunch at the UMass faculty building in Boston. And it was really great to learn more about the things you've done. And I've learned that the Byrne family over the years has done a tremendous amount of philanthropy for research and education in the state. And I think we should, all of us here in the state, be very thankful for their generosity. I also want to thank the Chancellor Collins and Dean Flood for really a tremendous level of support that I have witnessed over the last couple of years, both for me, but also for Marianne, and for the program in systems biology. Frankly, I am blessed to work here and do the research I'm really passionate about. I'm also blessed to do that with Marianne, my wife, along my side, and she's now known since a few minutes as the Maroon Saman Chair in Biomedical Research. We do not do research on our own. I stand here alone, but we do it with so many other people. We all depend so much on the generosity and support and patience of our mentors and talents and energy and commitment of our students. For instance, I started my career and couldn't have done it in any other way, studying chromosomes in the lab of Nancy Kleckner. It really was in her lab that I was able to develop these technologies that the Chancellor just mentioned, and it has been so important for the rest of my career. I don't think I could have done that anywhere else. And the reason why I couldn't have done it anywhere else is because she created a really creative atmosphere and a tremendously supportive environment in which I could do these things. It's my mission to try to have a similar culture in my lab. Nancy provided me with guidance and really a lot of support even after I left her lab. And she pushed me to think really big. And I think that's really important. And she has been the inspiration for all the science I've done ever since. I'm never extremely happy that Nancy is here today. It's really a big honor for me. So in Nancy's lab, I published a paper where we described the 3C technology that we use till this day to map the three-dimensional structure of chromosomes. And that really was the foundation of all the science I've done since. But there's another reason why that paper is very meaningful to me. One of the authors on that paper is my twin brother. He may have confused some of you. He is around here in the audience. But my brother is a mathematician, and he's an author on that paper because he used some of our data to calculate the first three-dimensional structure of a chromosome. And so it's just great that you are here, Martijn. And in fact, it's that kind of collaboration between biology, mathematics, physics, that is still a major feature of the work we do. Since joining my lab, we have continued studying how chromosomes fit inside our cells, and we discovered how these incredibly long molecules are packed, how that is important for gene regulation, how it can go wrong in disease. And none of these discoveries, none of these major new types of knowledge that we obtained over the last couple of years could have happened without the amazing group of people who worked in my lab, my students and trainees, and some of you may have noticed many of them are right here in the audience. Not just trainees that I've worked with in the past, but also a tremendous number of collaborators. Here at UMass, many faculty and labs around the campus are collaborating with us, which is spectacular, but also international collaborators, like Edith Hurt at the Korea Institute. And then I also want to mention Leonid Murney, my partner in crime, a physicist at MIT. Sam and Joseph, as scientists, we spent a tremendous amount of time trying to get funds for our research. And sometimes we feel that it really limits the time and space in our head that we have to do creative work. It is support from people like your family, to many of us here on the campus, that give us this more time to do this exciting science and be creative, and most particularly, think even bigger. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Decker. Ours is a most special community, defined by a collaborative spirit and characterized by individuals who excel in their endeavors, whether they be in education, research, patient care, or philanthropy, as in the case of our generous donors. The support of our benefactors is most vividly demonstrated through our stellar group of named professors who collectively exemplify the excellence of our institution. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our new and existing named professors who are seated in the audience. I ask that they stand when I call their names, turn and face the audience, and remain standing until all have been called. And I ask the audience to please hold your applause until the end. Names are called in the order in which the endowment was established. Dr. Demetrius E.M. Litwin, the Harry M. Haydack Professor of Surgery. Dr. Terrence R. Flott, the Celia and Isaac Haydack Professor of Medical Education. Dr. Robert W. Finberg, the Richard M. Haydack Professor of Medicine. Dr. Anthony J. Rothschild, the Irving S. and Betty Brudnick Chair in Psychiatry. Dr. David M. Harlan, the William and Doris Krupp Professor of Medicine. Dr. Jerry H. Gerwitz, the Dr. John Myers Professor of Primary Care Medicine. Dr. George B. Whitman III, the George F. Booth Chair in the Basic Sciences. Dr. David C. Ayers, the Arthur M. Pappas MD Chair in Orthopedics. Dr. Roger J. Davis, the H. Arthur Smith Chair in Cancer Research. Dr. Thoreau Peterson, the Vitold Arnett Professor of Cell Biology. Dr. Jeremy Lubin, the David J. Freelander Professor of AIDS Research. Dr. Alan S. Jacobson, the Gerald L. Haydack, MD, and Zelda S. Haydack Professor of Cell Biology. Dr. Michael R. Green, the Lambie and Sarah Adams Chair in Genetic Research. Dr. Justin Makel, the Gladys Smith Martin Chair in Oncology. Dr. Judith K. O'Keen, the Barbara Helen Smith Chair in Preventive and Behavioral Medicine. Dr. Neil Aronin, the Higgins Family Professor of Neuroscience. Dr. C. Robert Matthews, the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinis Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Pharmacology. Dr. Craig C. Mello, the Blaise University Chair in Molecular Medicine. Dr. Jean A. Frazier, the Robert M. and Shirley S. Siff Chair in Autism. Dr. Robert H. Brown, Jr., the Leo P. and Teresa M. LaChance Chair in Medical Research. Dr. Peter E. Newberger, the Allie and John P. Pierce Chair in Pediatric Hematology Oncology. Dr. Heather Campbell Forkey, the Joy McCann Professor for Women in Medicine. Dr. Michael P. Check, the Isidore and Fanny Foxman Chair in Medical Research. Dr. Victor R. Ambrose, the Silverman Chair in the Natural Sciences. Dr. Katerina I. Kiefer, the Melvin S. and Sandra L. Cutler Chair in Biomedical Research. Dr. Dale L. Greiner, the Dr. Eileen L. and L. Berman and Stanley I. Berman Foundation Chair in Biomedical Research. Dr. Sylvia Corvera, the Endowed Chair in Diabetes Research. Dr. Vivian Budnick, the Worcester Foundation for Biomedical Research Chair. Dr. Douglas T. Kohlenbach, the Pillar Chair in Biomedical Research. Dr. Catherine A. Fitzgerald, the Worcester Foundation for Biomedical Research Chair. Dr. Jonathan Kay, the Timothy S. and Elaine L. Peterson Chair in Rheumatology. Dr. Job Decker, the Joseph J. Byrne Chair in Biomedical Research. Dr. Fen Bao Gao, the Governor Paul Cellucci Chair in Neuroscience Research. Dr. Brian Silver, the Endowed Chair in Neuroscience Research. Dr. Mark Johnson, the Maroon Saman Chair in Neurosurgery. Dr. Marianne Walhu, the Maroon Saman Chair in Biomedical Research. And Dr. Michael J. Thompson, the Herman G. Berkman Chair in Diabetes Care Innovation. We're privileged to have you with us this afternoon. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for all you do for our institution. At an institution as great as ours, it's meaningful and important to recognize those whose generosity allows us to realize our full potential and those whose ingenuity and intellect allow us to fulfill our mission. In the future, I look forward to these opportunities to celebrate new members of our faculty appointed to named professorships and the generous donors who make the appointments possible. All of you are welcome now to join us in the cube upstairs for a reception. Our convocation and afternoon investiture ceremony is now concluded. I would ask Dr. Michael Hirsch, the recipient of this year's Chancellor Medal for Distinguished Service, to come forward to lead our recessional. I would ask that all others remain seated until the endowed chairs and medal winners have recessed out. Thank you all for being here today. Michael? I'm going to go right down that row there. The earlier ceremony and tonight's dinner provide our campus with a meaningful opportunity to celebrate the preeminence of our most accomplished faculty, as well as the visionary support of our most generous benefactors. The 5 colleagues invested during the ceremony this afternoon and the 4 others who will be invested shortly collectively represent the world-class nature of our faculty. Further, they exemplify our medical school's unique combination of smart minds, great science, and genuine collegiality that help to define our institution and distinguish us from others. Like their colleagues who are proud to call UMass Medical School their professional home, these faculty leaders are united by a common calling, bold in their ambitions, confident in their abilities, and serious in their purpose. Working together, there's no limit to the strides of our institution and what can be done starting today. As we begin this special dinner, I want to formally congratulate the 5 newest members of our stellar group of endowed chairs. Dr. Neil Aronin, the Higgins Family Professor in Neuroscience. Dr. Fen Bao Gao, the Governor Paul Cellucci Chair in Neuroscience Research. Dr. Mark Johnson, the Maroon Saman Chair in Neurosurgery. Dr. Marianne Walhoot, the Maroon Saman Chair in Biomedical Research. And Dr. Job Decker, the Joseph J. Byrne Chair in Biomedical Research. Doctors Aronin, Gao, Johnson, Walhoot, and Decker, congratulations on this wonderful professional milestone. I want to extend a warm welcome to you and your family members, your guests, and friends who join us this evening to celebrate your achievement. Similar to the 4 faculty members who we will invest this evening at this evening's dinner, Dr. Heather Forkey, Michael Thompson, Brian Silver, and Justin Makel, we feel so fortunate to have you as part of our academic community, and we look forward to your continued contributions to our medical school and your respective fields in the years ahead. As we celebrate your new and richly deserved status as named professors, we appropriately recognize the principled partnership of our leading donors whose philanthropy unleashes the promise of your impactful work. As Provost Slott remarked earlier, everything we do at UMass Medical School is team-based. In this context, the support of our benefactors is as critical as the breakthroughs emanating therefrom. And so tonight, we offer our profound thanks to Polly and Prentice Higgins, whose legacy of supporting biomedical research at the Worcester Foundation for Biomedical Research, and more recently, this institution is inspiring, and Samuel T. Byrne, whose generous spirit and generosity provides our medical school and his father, Dr. Joseph Byrne, with an enduring gift that will undoubtedly advance scientific knowledge and human health. While the 2 other donors who participated in the ceremony were unable to stay for dinner, it's appropriately to publicly acknowledge them as well. I want to convey my thanks to Mrs. Jan Cellucci, who represented her beloved husband, Governor Paul Cellucci, at the ceremony. Her presence was a powerful reminder of her family's steadfast support of the UMass ALS Cellucci Fund and the new endowed chair the fund helped to create. I also wish to extend my sincerest thanks to Noor Saman, the daughter of Maroon Saman, whose incredible generosity established our institution with 2 newly endowed chairs, one in neurosurgery and the other in biomedical research. Noor is a student at Tufts University, and she proudly represented her father and the Saman family at the ceremony, and I'm most grateful that she was able to join us for today's event. To Polly and Prentice Higgins and Sam Byrne, please know your support of our research enterprise generally and our faculty specifically is remarkable. Through the endowments you so generously established, you affirm our medical school, advance our mission, and assure our future by investing in our most accomplished faculty colleagues. We feel so fortunate to be associated with you in such a personal, public, and profound way, and we pledge to you that the faculty members who hold the endowed chairs that bear your family name will honor your terrific support by making seminal advances in their fields of inquiry. Before investing the first faculty member this evening, I'd like to recognize some colleagues who join us here this evening. UMass Medical School benefits from the leadership of 3 of the finest deans in America, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome each of them. Terence R. Flott, MD, our Provost and Dean of the School of Medicine. Anthony Carruthers, Dean of the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, who will be retiring in a few months after more than 30 years of outstanding service to our institution. Tony? And Joan Vitello, Dean of the Graduate School of Nursing. Joan? We're privileged to have two members of the UMass Board of Trustees with us this evening. I want to welcome Trustee Norm Peters, who many of you know, and who continues his decades-long support of our medical school as an engaged and influential trustee. Norm, it's great that you can join us this evening. Thank you. And it's also a great pleasure to introduce our new student trustee, Camilla Yu, a fourth-year medical student. Camilla, congratulations on being selected by your peers to serve on the university's board, and thank you for joining us this evening. There are two additional members of the UMass family I would like to acknowledge. Please join me in welcoming great friends and supporters of the institution. First, UMass President Emeritus Jack Wilson and his wife Judy. Jack and Judy, thank you so much for being here this evening. It really is wonderful that the leadership of our primary academic partner, UMass Memorial Healthcare, join us. I'd like to welcome Eric Dixon, the President and CEO of the healthcare system, and Patrick Muldoon, the President of the Medical Center. Eric and Patrick, thank you. I'm also pleased to welcome Dr. Andy Artenstein, the Regional Executive Dean of our medical school Bay State in Springfield, and his colleagues. Andy, thank you so much for being here this evening. Now, finally, as this whole day has been a celebration of faculty, I'd like to ask all the faculty in attendance to please stand and be recognized. So that's an appropriate transition to the formal part of our evening program. I'm so pleased to invest Dr. Heather Forkey as the Joy McCann Professor for Women in Medicine. Dr. Forkey and Dr. Tiffany Moore-Simus, would you please come forward? Thank you. Great. If you could just stand forward here for a little bit so I can talk to you. Great. Thank you. An empathic caregiver, a gifted physician, and a model colleague. Dr. Heather Forkey, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, is privileged to recognize you today. Since joining the ranks of our faculty in 2004, you've had an immediate and sustained impact on the lives of countless young children. In your dual roles as Director of the Foster Children Evaluation Service and Chief of the Division of Child Protection in the Department of Pediatrics, you have had the responsibility and the privilege to care for and about this most vulnerable patient population. Your work as a caregiver who is committed to the safety of foster children epitomizes your dedication to our profession. As a leader in the field of child protection and as an innovator in providing and improving the health status of children in foster care, your tireless efforts on behalf of those who are most in need of empathy, compassion, and advocacy inspires in us admiration and gratitude. As you and your fellow caregivers have cared for this vulnerable population, you've been motivated by a desire to understand and improve the harsh emotional toll that comes with being a frontline physician who is repeatedly exposed to stress, adversity, and sadness. As the Joy McCann Professor, you will be undertaking a new challenge with unbridled energy and resolve. You are determined to help your peers, particularly mid-career professionals whose resiliency has been compromised by the accumulated stressors of direct patient care, to find effective tools to deal with their secondary traumatic stress. The caring, empathy, and compassion that define you as a physician will shape and support this important initiative. With great appreciation to the Joy McCann Foundation for generously establishing this professorship, I'll now ask Dr. Tiffany Moore-Simas, the outgoing Joy McCann Professor, to join me in investing Dr. Forkey as the newest recipient of this named professor. Dr. Heather Forkey, it is a tremendous privilege to invest you as the new recipient of the Joy McCann Professorship of Women in Medicine. Receive this medallion as a symbol of this institution's regard for your steadfast commitment to patient-centered care and peer-centered advocacy. Congratulations. Congratulations, Heather. Good. Podium is yours. Thank you, Tiffany. Okay.
I need to extend my sincere thanks to the Joy McCann Foundation and to UMass Medical School, the selection committee, the dean, the chancellor, and all who have worked to make this event and this dinner so possible. I'm humbled and deeply honored to receive the Joy McCann Professorship for Women. I'm grateful to follow in the footsteps of the wonderful women who've held this position before me, and through the work of the professorship, to pay it forward with the support and guidance and encouragement I received at UMass from talented colleagues, including Tiffany, and especially my generous mentors, Dr. Linda Sager, Dr. Judith O'Keen, and Dr. Luann Thorndike, who are here this evening. Some say we live in a cynical age, and that the practice of medicine is really about being a technician, and that relationships, service, and striving to connect with and make a difference for our patients is a relic of another age. I know better, because the women that have mentored me and my patients have taught me well. And I hope that some of what they have taught me I can bring to the Joy McCann Professorship. The patients I have the honor to care for, children like 5-year-old Kiana, who I saw earlier this week, have experienced many adversities. Kiana's mother struggles, like so many in our community, with addiction and mental illness, which limit her ability to protect and nurture her children. When Kiana and her 4 siblings were found late this summer, living with their mother in a car, we could count this as just one more in a list of adverse childhood experiences these children had had. They've also witnessed domestic violence, suffered from food insecurity, and been abused. Now, Kiana and her siblings struggle academically, physically, and emotionally. In the beginning of my career, we looked at those outcomes and we asked, what is wrong with the kids like Kiana? But we were asking the wrong question. It's not about what's wrong with our patients, it was about what happened to them. We are incredible beings, and our survival depends on our ability to adapt and to live in the environment. But with survival comes a cost. The changes to our brains and our bodies last longer than the dangers we experience. As we've begun to address what has happened, a revolution in healthcare has begun. The science of trauma is changing how we respond to our patients and greatly improving their outcome. My colleagues in medicine also spend their days and nights with trauma, caring for people and experiencing with them their diseases, disorders, and ultimately their deaths are, as Paul Kalanithi said in When Breath Becomes Air, quote, burdens that make medicine holy and wholly impossible. In taking up another's cross, one must sometimes be crushed by the weight. The practice of medicine, in the relationships that we have with those dealing with their most challenging moments of life, comes at a cost to us. Burnout and secondary trauma now impacts more than half of physicians. And with this professorship, we will work to create the same impacts for our colleagues that asking the question, what happened, has had with my traumatized patients. I can't end without specifically expressing my gratitude to my family, my husband and 5 kids, who have all made it here tonight, are my daily antidote to trauma. Their love, humor, and intelligence are a constant gift to me. and I thank them. Thank you all.
It now gives me great pleasure to invest Dr. Michael Thompson as the inaugural recipient of the Herman G. Berkman Chair in Diabetes Care Innovation. I'd ask Dr. Thompson and Dr. David Harlan, co-director of the Diabetes Center of Excellence, to join me at the podium. Okay. Stand close to me now so I can talk to you. Cherished as a caring healer by your grateful patients, admired as a master clinician by your colleagues, valued as a leading physician scientist by the diabetes community, and respected as a role model by your students, Dr. Michael J. Thompson, the University of Massachusetts Medical School, is privileged to recognize you today. For more than 30 years, you have dedicated your professional career to one mission: improving the lives of people with diabetes. As a physician, you stand steadfast and committed as you work to achieve this goal for your patients by delivering expert, cutting-edge, and compassionate care. As a leading clinician who serves as chief of our Diabetes Center of Excellence outpatient clinic and the Diabetes Clinical Research Organization, you are sought out by colleagues across the nation for your expert opinion on approaching and improving care for complex cases. As a physician scientist, you understand the value of research and the role it plays in improving patient care and outcomes. Your scholarly work has been published in some of the premier peer-reviewed scientific journals, but moreover, you currently lead or co-lead numerous NIH-funded studies, each designed to make treatment options and care modalities better, safer, and more numerous through evidence-based research. In so doing, you have been instrumental in expanding the size, scope, and impact of clinical trials at our Diabetes Center of Excellence. As an exemplary mentor, you epitomize the noblest traditions of our profession, including a commitment to educate those who will follow in your path: medical students, residents, fellows, and young physician scientists. By actively engaging in mentoring and sharing the knowledge and expertise gained over a most impressive career, you are fulfilling the mission to improve the lives of patients with diabetes for generations to come. With a deep sense of appreciation for the care that you provided the late Herman G. Berkman, whose estate provided the resources necessarily to establish this newly endowed chair, I'm going to now ask Dr. David Harlan, co-director of the Diabetes Center of Excellence, to assist me in investing Dr. Thompson. Dr. Michael Thompson, it is a privilege to invest you as the inaugural holder of the Herman G. Berkman Chair in Diabetes Care Innovation. Receive this medallion as a symbol of the respect we have for your contributions to the mission of the Diabetes Center of Excellence and for serving as a model physician scientist. Congratulations. Thank you, David.
Thank you all so much. I'm honored and humbled to be the first recipient of the Herman G. Berkman Chair in Diabetes Care Innovation. I first met Herman in the mid-1990s. He was in his mid-70s at that time, and he was a retired professor of regional planning at New York University. He was proud of being an early adopter of electronic data sets for use in urban planning at a time when computers were not in common use. In fact, the word computer really wasn't in common use. His work championed the need for greater insight into the political and social needs of the community and its poor. And in his retirement, he had moved from New York to Western Massachusetts, drawn by Tanglewood and the surrounding art scene. Professor Berkman was always interested in learning more about new developments in diabetes research. and he really struggled to understand the high worldwide prevalence of type 2 diabetes, a condition that was common among his family members. He believed, though, in the efforts that the UMass diabetes program was making to provide exceptional and innovative care. Stemming from his work in regional planning, he voiced a strong proponent of unique possibilities that arise through collaboration. Collaboration between clinical and basic researchers, collaboration between different universities, and collaboration across disparate fields of study. For example, he really hoped to support an effort to help medical students understand the need for humanities in their work. When he passed in 2015 at the age of 91, he was generous in his support of diabetes research and operation of the diabetes clinic at UMass. And I will do everything I can to make this endowed chair honor Dr. Berkman's final wishes. The endowment allows a chance to pioneer innovation in diabetes care at a time of great need in our country. We are at a crossroads for medical care, and I hope we take the road that changes the paradigm that we live with right now called fee-for-service, in which we seem to profit from illness and its complications, not wellness. In our Diabetes Center of Excellence, we've accepted the challenge to make diabetes care in our region second to none. And I cannot overstate the value of this endowed chair in furthering those efforts. In addition to this endowed chair, UMass Memorial Healthcare and the Diabetes Center of Excellence have established the Berkman Diabetes Clinical Innovation Fund. Faculty and staff at UMass Memorial Healthcare and in the University of Massachusetts Medical School will be invited to apply for grants of $50,000 to $150,000. And our objective is to support the development of diabetes clinical care initiatives that would not normally find funding through routine medical billing or traditional research grant funding programs. Special consideration will be given to proposals that include innovative approaches that directly improve the lives of people with diabetes, multidisciplinary approaches that foster interdepartmental or interinstitutional collaborations, and support for individuals, groups, and communities that are economically or educationally disadvantaged or underrepresented, and specific connection to our organization's missions in the fields of education and patient care. I would like to thank Dean Flott and Chancellor Collins for their vision in creating this chair. I'd like to thank Drs. David Harlan and Dale Greiner, the exceptional co-chairs of our Diabetes Center of Excellence, with whom I have the great honor to work with. And I would like to thank also two mentors who strongly influenced my early career. Dr. Michael Apple, recently retired from the NIH, who was my first mentor here at UMass, and who I am grateful was able to join us tonight. And Dr. Aldo Rossini, the former chair of diabetes, who was a pioneer in diabetes research and clinical care. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thompson. Now I'm delighted to invest Dr. Brian Silver as the inaugural recipient of the Endowed Chair in Neuroscience Research. Dr. Silver and Dr. Robert Brown, Chair of Neurology, would you please join me at the podium? Expert diagnostician, committed teacher, insightful researcher, Dr. Brian Silver, it's a privilege for the University of Massachusetts Medical School to recognize your contributions to the field of neurology and the study and treatment of stroke. Your career, which began here when you were a resident in neurology in one of our medical school's most renowned academic departments, has been distinguished by your quest for ever more innovative and effective treatments for stroke, a leading cause of death disability, and hospitalization. You do not accept the status quo or the conventional wisdom, but instead challenge your field to constantly strive to improve. Your work in stroke prevention, rehabilitation, in stroke reperfusion therapy, and transcranial magnetic stimulation places you at the forefront of stroke medicine. As a teacher, clinician, author, and physician scientist, you embody all of the ideals of academic medicine: to discover, to share new knowledge, to mentor, and to care for those who depend on biomedical science to improve their health. Your publication record in journals such as Stroke, JAMA Neurology, the Journal of Neuroimaging, the Journal of Stroke and Cerebrovascular Diseases, and the Journal of the American Stroke Association shows your leadership and your erudition. With great appreciation for the funds that have been designated to establish this endowed chair, I would now ask Dr. Robert H. Brown, Jr. to assist, our Chair of Neurology, to assist me in investing Dr. Silver. Dr. Brian Silver, it is a tremendous privilege to invest you as the inaugural recipient of the Endowed Chair in Neuroscience Research. Receive this medallion as a symbol of your gratitude for your many contributions to the science and humanity of stroke and of your commitment to long-term support, growth, and continued success here at the University of Massachusetts. Congratulations, Brian. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Chancellor Collins, Dean Flott, Dr. Dixon, Mr. Muldoon, Dr. Brown, colleagues, friends, and family. Significant advances have been made in the care of patients with neurologic disease, and there are more to come. The foundation for these advances has been translational research, starting with a pivotal scientific discovery. In stroke, the discovery of thrombolytic agents led to the improved outcome of tens of thousands of patients with stroke. The stent retriever, a device which looks like a tubular chicken wire fence, was discovered at UMass and revolutionized the care of patients with the most severe types of stroke in which a blood vessel in the brain is blocked. The devastating effects of that kind of stroke, such as paralysis and loss of speech, are now routinely avoided. In the field of ALS, new genetic treatments pioneered by my chair, Dr. Bob Brown, promise to dramatically alter the course of a disease that hitherto has been relentless in its progression. These are just a few examples of how neuroscience research is vital for the neurological health of the population. At UMass, recognition of that importance has manifested in the creation of programs that support future research in this area, including the Endowed Chair in Neuroscience Research, for which I am the grateful and stunned first recipient, and thankful to those who have made this possible through their generosity. As a stroke researcher, my journey began at UMass when I spent 2 months doing basic science research with Mark Fisher testing a neuroprotective agent. Following that, I spent a year at Brown with Drs. Ed Feldman, Don Easton, and Janet Wilterting, honing skills in critical thinking and formulating hypotheses. The next step was a research year at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston with Dr. Steve Warwick, Luke Kaplan, John Dash, and Carla Canis, researching a new tool which could identify stroke much earlier than CT scan. This technique, diffusion-weighted imaging, is now the gold standard for stroke diagnosis and used around the world. The next 2.5 years were spent in London, Ontario, in a fellowship under the direction of Drs. Vladimir Hitchinsky, David Spence, and Henry Barnett, developing a stroke systems of care in southwestern Ontario. After all that training, it was time to get a job, and I took my first position at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, where I had the privilege of doing translational work with PDE5 inhibitors for stroke recovery with Drs. Mike Chop and Zhong Zhang. I then returned to Brown, where I began a project with Dr. Ying Sung to create a portable transcranial magnetic stimulation device in the shape of a helmet for the treatment of patients with residual deficits after stroke. A prototype device is in active development with the aim of having a study beginning within the next few years at UMass. There are many others who have mentored me, and I'm grateful for the wisdom they shared.
Last and most importantly, I would like to acknowledge my family. My father, who passed away nearly 20 years ago, was an inspiration to me through his hard work and kindness towards others. He had a remarkable life, having survived Auschwitz, came to Canada, started a family, and then became a butcher. He had quite a sense of humor, and when I became a physician, he joked he was an MD as well, saying he was a meat dealer, to which I would reply, yeah, I guess I'm a son of a butcher then. So, my mother, who came from Montreal, was a constant support for me during medical school. My mother and father-in-law are the most wonderful relatives one could ever imagine, and are examples of people who are always there to lend a caring ear or hand. My two daughters, Suzanne and Allison, are funny, thoughtful, and compassionate, have helped me to develop a sense of tone and rhythm, and are an immense source of pride and joy. Finally, my wife, Rachel, has been an irreplaceable partner, friend, and advice giver. To bring things full circle, UMass is where I met her, and while she was attending medical school here. And for that, I'm also grateful to UMass. Thank you.
Really well done. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you. Thank you. Enjoy this a minute, okay? To conclude the formal investiture process, it gives me great pleasure now to invest Dr. Justin Makel as the Gladys Smith Martin Chair in Oncology. I'd like to invite Dr. Makel and Dr. Demetrius Litwin, Chair of Surgery, to join me at the podium. An expert surgeon, an innovative physician scientist, and a compelling community advocate. Dr. Justin Makel, it's a privilege for the University of Massachusetts Medical School to recognize you today. Your deep and abiding connection to this central Massachusetts community has both shaped and supported your professional success. You are a local son, reared just miles from this academic health sciences center. While you fully embrace your local lineage, today your profile extends far beyond the borders of this region. You have emerged as a national leader in colorectal surgical research and clinical care, and as a model academic surgeon who embodies our missions of education, research, and healthcare delivery. A trusted and masterful clinician, you intuitively understand that individual accomplishments are part and parcel of a team's achievements. That's why you always direct credit to your team. You treat your team, as well as your patients and their loved ones, as if they're part of your family, many of whom join you here this evening. Such a familial approach has become an invaluable resource during what are challenging times in the operating room. A master surgeon, you prioritize the needs of each individual, patiently discussing options while advancing minimally invasive techniques to address colon cancer, diverticulitis, and other conditions. Your interest in and dedication to new technologies and rigorous clinical research and innovative techniques have revolutionized care for many of your patients. Your contributions to the fields of oncology and surgery are bolstered by the commitment you demonstrate to those who follow in your footsteps. A generous teacher and mentor, you freely and willingly impart your knowledge to medical students, residents, and fellows. Outside of the operating theater, you regularly connect with the community, educating peers and patients alike to help them live informed, healthier lives, encouraging prevention and the early detection of colorectal cancer. With a deep sense of gratitude to the Martin family, whose legacy of charitable giving to Worcester entities made this endowment possible, I'll now ask Dr. Demetrius Litwin, Chair of Surgery, to assist me in investing Dr. Makel. Dr. Justin Makel, It's a tremendous privilege to invest you as the new holder of the Gladys Smith Martin Chair in Oncology. Receive this medallion as a symbol representing our trust in and commitment to your burgeoning career as an academic surgeon, as well as our gratitude for serving as such an effective community ambassador. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. Enjoy. Thank you, Demetrius.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Figures you would save the colorectal surgeon until the end. In recent months, I've met with the UMass Medical School and UMass Memorial Medical Center leadership to share my vision for our division of colon and rectal surgery. This vision is for our group to continue to evolve and mature to be recognized as the #1 program in New England. Specifically, our team will exceed all other programs in the areas of 1, quality outcomes, 2, patient satisfaction, and 3, innovation, in both the care we give and the way that it's delivered. Across the nation, UMass is already considered a destination site for surgical training and soon will be viewed as a destination site for high-end colorectal surgery care. Our reputation will grow, and the research we conduct and publish will help shape the future of our field. We're getting there, and we're doing it all right here in Worcester. The H. Arthur Smith Charitable Foundation created the Gladys Smith Martin Chair through the Worcester Foundation for Biomedical Research in 2000 in memory of Mrs. Martin's battle with gastrointestinal cancer. The chair has been held by Dr. Timothy Wang in the Division of Gastroenterology and Dr. Azra Raza and Alan Rosemarin in the Division of Hematology Oncology. It's my great honor and privilege to complete the circle in GI care and now receive this chair in the Department of Surgery. Having been passed from GI medicine to GI oncology and now to GI surgery, it's my responsibility to leverage the prestige and the resources of the chair to advance the care we offer patients afflicted by colorectal cancer, the second most common form of cancer in the United States. Complementing the prior research of Drs. Wang, Raza, and Rosemarin, my contributions will focus on 5 key areas: cancer prevention strategies, patient education and empowerment, advances in care delivery, optimization of surgical outcomes, and finally, my passion, innovation, pioneering the most innovative and minimally invasive surgical approaches imaginable. Separated by 57 years, Mrs. Martin and I were both born in Worcester and raised in central Massachusetts. I'm a local kid. I was raised in West Boylston and graduated from St. John's High School. Following my training, Dr. Litwin believed in me and gave me a unique opportunity to return home and start my surgical career back in 2005. He's been my advocate ever since. I feel fortunate to be part of this department and to practice medicine in my hometown, reconnecting and giving back to the community that has given me so much. Trust me, it's a unique opportunity in academic surgery to be in the community where you grew up. The fact that Chancellor Collins decided to honor me with this endowed professorship not only accelerates my team's ability to succeed, but reflects his personal commitment, the medical school's support, and the medical center's ratification of the vision that we outlined together. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the Smith family and the foundation who created this chair in the name of Gladys Smith Martin. I will honor her legacy. I'd like to thank my bosses, Dr. Collins, Dr. Flott, Dr. Dixon, Dr. Patrick Muldoon, and Dr. Litwin for their support and advocacy, not only today, but over the past 12 years of my career. I'm blessed to have my parents with me tonight. Through their example, Albert and Maggie Makel showed me and my siblings, who are also here tonight, firsthand that a vision, determination, and an unrelenting work ethic can get you anywhere you want to get in life. My wife, Heather, has been my partner and my best friend since we first met at Tufts in 1989. Unless you're married to a surgeon, I'm not sure you can understand the sacrifices that she's made and continues to make to support me in achieving my career goals. You definitely get to sit in a chair, too. I also want to thank my 3 children, Alex, Brendan, and Justin, for being wonderful young men and for understanding when I have to make my patients a priority over a baseball game or a birthday date at Clay Time. We're not sure where your careers will go, but I'm sure whatever you do, you'll be wonderful. And finally, my partners at UMass, Dr. Alavi, Dr. Sturrock, and Dr. Davids, who make up our team and no doubt make me a better surgeon, researcher, and educator, because we recognize that the sum is infinitely greater than individual parts. A final congratulations to all the award and chair recipients. You motivate me to be better, and I love being part of a winning team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Dr. Makel. Our success, past, present, and future, has so much to do with our world-class faculty, exemplified by the 9 faculty members who were invested with endowed chairs today and tonight. Drs. Neil Aronin, Fen Bao Gao, Mark Johnson, Marianne Walhoot, Job Decker, Heather Forkey, Michael Thompson, Brian Silver, and Justin Makel. On this day, when philanthropy has allowed us to present endowed chairs to 9 of our most accomplished faculty, it's fitting that we also celebrate and thank our most generous supporters, beginning, of course, with Polly and Prentice Higgins and Sam Byrne. In addition, we're fortunate a few donors who have previously established endowed chairs join us this evening, and I want to acknowledge them. Stanley I. Berman, who with his late wife endowed the Dr. Eileen L. Berman and Stanley I. Berman Foundation Chair in Biomedical Research. Stanley? Anna Ling Pierce, who endowed the Allie and John Pierce Chair in Pediatric Hematology Oncology. Shirley Siff, who with her husband Bob endowed the Robert M. and Shirley S. Siff Chair in Autism. Helen Koskinis, who with her late husband Arthur established the Arthur F. and Helen P. Koskinis Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Pharmacology, and last year made a decision to create a second endowment in memory of Arthur, the Arthur F. Koskinis Chair in Neuroscience. Helen? Thanks to all of you for being here and for your tremendous support of our institution. Please know that you are valued, essential, and impactful team members, and we could not advance our mission areas without your partnership. Now, these events don't just happen, and I want to thank those who contributed to their success. First, to Tim Rice and Rachel Carruthers from the Office of University Events. Tim? Ashling Trainer from the Advancement Office. Billy T. and everyone from the facilities team. Jen Berryman, Mark Shelton, Brian Goodchild, and the rest of the team from communications. And the team from our office, Sean Macaluso, and the chief, Brendan Chisholm. Thank you all very much. I hope you'll recognize what a special place we have. Each of those members of our faculty who spoke today alluded to what is unique in the makeup of our institution, the collegial and collaborative nature of our institution. As I said in my speech earlier today, institutions have their moments, and this is our moment. Let us make the most of it. I hope all of you have had a wonderful day. We're now going to serve dessert. As most of you know, we have a 9 o'clock rule at Grennan House, and a number of you joked with me and said, no way you'll make the 9 o'clock rule tonight. Well, in fact, we're going to make it. So if you want dessert, you're welcome to stay. If you don't want dessert, the 9 o'clock rule is in effect and you can go home. We have 2 more convocation events this week. Tomorrow we have the grad student recognition ceremony, and then on Friday, the white coat ceremony, which is why we have the tent. We have so many students this year that we've had to actually go outside for the event. So it really is a tremendous beginning to the opening of our school year. I thank all of you for your support, and I hope when you're done, you'll take a moment to thank those who have made the evening so special. Thank you all, and enjoy.